live streaming.
Oh, no. Okay, you're live.
Hi, and welcome to the English II EOI Prep Bootcamp for Epic Charter Schools. What we're going to do today is I'm going to help you get ready for the EOI test for English II. This is not a session to teach you English per se. It's going to give you some strategies and tips to do well on the testing when you go in for your state testing for the EOI. And what I'm going to be utilizing today is the Parent Student Teacher Guide that is put out by the State Department of Education. We're going to be going through this. I'm going to explain it and break it down for you. And if you do not have this guide in your hand, please stop and go to the Oklahoma State Department of Education website. You can put it out in Google, Oklahoma Department of Education Blueprint, and scroll down to English II and download the PSTG, which is this guide, and I will be referring to it by page numbers. I also realize that you're not going to be able to see all of my screens today, especially the ones that I do when I go onto the internet. But these links are available for you on our website, and this PowerPoint that I'm going to be using today is also available. So you can download those and you can see the website addresses a little clearer. And if you have any questions after that point, then you can contact us and let us know. And there's a handy little trick. You can open up the video in YouTube in one window, and then you can open a new tab, and you can have the PSTG open in that tab, or another window. Go down to the clock, right-click, and show windows side by side. It will open up the video on one side, and your guide or your other tab on the other side, so you can see them simultaneously. So let's get started today for English II EOI Prep. If you will open your book, we're going to look at the blueprint for English II. It is on page 10. And it's going to tell us what percentage of what questions we're going to see on the test. And it's broken down by standard. We can see reading and literature here is vocabulary, comprehension, literature, research and information. And then the bottom part is for the writing. I know that most of our students are panicked about the writing portion, but let me stop you right there and tell you that the writing portion is a small part of the overall English II test. It is actually 9% for your writing prompt and 18% for your grammar, usage, and mechanics. So around 27% of the entire test is for the writing portion. I'm going to give you some tricks and tips today that is going to help you make sure you're successful at the writing portion. And if you do what I'm showing you for the prompt and for your pre-writing strategies, then you should have this down with no problems. The major portions of your testing is going to be on your comprehension and on your literature. And then it tells you the ideal number of questions for that particular subject. So you can see there's about how many questions there's going to be. It says there's going to be around 61 questions worth about 66 points. And that weight will be 100% of your testing score. So let's talk a little bit about standards. Oklahoma calls them the Oklahoma Academic Standards. You might have heard of PASS objectives. Those are the priority academic student skills. If you've never heard of either one of these, perhaps you've heard of the political and educational debates of Common Core. We are not Common Core. That's not us, not yet. We are the OAS, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what the standards are. As a teacher in the school and in any format, and as a parent of children that we teach at home, we need to be familiar with what the standards are for our child. Every grade from pre-K through 12th grade has a set of standards for every subject that is learned. And if we are familiar with what they're supposed to be learning and what's going to be tested, it makes us a much more effective teacher and a tool for ourselves as a parent and a teacher to help our students. So let's talk about the English II standards real quickly. They're broken down into 4 major parts: vocabulary, comprehension, literature, and research and information. Let me tell you now that your curriculums are designed to cover many of the standards that are set forth in the Oklahoma Department of Education, but none of our curriculums currently cover all of the standards. And that's why it's important for you to work closely with your teacher in every grade level and every subject to make sure that you're learning the standards as set forth by the State Department of Education. You can ask your teacher about our standards workbook or what the standards are and how you work through them. I personally recommend daily reading and daily journal writing. Those are an excellent way to keep up your skills and gain new ones. Daily reading is an especially important component right now for your student between now and testing time. Your student should be reading novels or informational texts for their own pleasure as often as they possibly can. This is going to help in comprehension, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a little bit. But daily journal writing is very important, putting a pen to a piece of paper and writing down their thoughts. If they have trouble coming up with what to write down, you can Google simply 10th grade, 11th grade, or 12th grade writing or journal prompts, and there'll be thousands of them that come up, and you can choose a particular passage to write about. When I say writing daily, I don't mean writing a novel. I mean writing a few sentences, just getting those creative juices flowing. So now let's look at how the ACE English II test is administered, and that it's administered in 3 sections. And let's turn to page 4 of your booklet. Now there is a mistake in this book, and I want you to go to this page, and I'd like for you to mark out what the mistake is. Here at the top, it says that the writing prompt is administered in a paper pencil answer document, and that is not true. This test is done online. So at the bottom of this paper, please write writing test online. This is very important because it is a different perspective and different aspect of writing. So we need our students to be aware that the writing test is online. It is not on paper and pencil. The writing test takes about 55 minutes to complete, including the test proctor and administrator reading the directions. And then sections 2 and 3 consist of reading passages. They will give the student something to read, and then they'll give you multiple choice questions to answer for that particular reading passage. You don't have to worry. They'll give you the passage and all the information you need to answer those multiple choice questions. Each section takes about 60 minutes with an additional 20 minutes for them to read the test directions to the students. Now, this test is not strictly timed. There can be more time utilized for the student who's testing. It can be extended. If the testing room time comes up, we can make arrangements to move that student with the test administrator and proctor to a different location and continue the test. But let me say this, that some of the studies have shown that if the student is utilizing more than 1 hour of additional time, it can contribute to a decrease actual in their student scores. And I think this is mainly because they talk themselves out of the right answer. They're second guessing themselves. I have a strategy for that in the multiple choice portion. If you utilize the strategy, it should cut down on some of the anxiety of answering a multiple choice question. Students who finish the test early should make sure that their work is completed. Please, I'm asking you now, do not be the first student out of the room completed. Try to be in the middle or at the end somewhere. Take your time. Make sure your questions are completely answered. And before you, 1, either close a booklet if you're given a booklet, or 2, exit out of a test, please raise your hand, call the proctor administrator over, let them know you're finished with your test. I'll show you why later. It is very important because once you have exited out of a test, you will not be allowed to go back in and do anything, even if something pops in your mind later on. So once you're completed and you're finished, you're exiting, you're done. Let's turn to page 11 in the handout. And I have some things that I'd like to go over with you on the writing modes here. There are 5 types of writing modes that you may see in a writing test. You may have a narrative essay, descriptive essay, expository essay, persuasive essay, or reflective essay. You will have one of those 5 writing modes to write on. I want to break down what is most important for your student to remember about each one of these 5 things. Let's first look at narrative essay. Please underline the word narrative essay. A narrative essay tells about a personal experience. It's a story. And it is told as it unfolds over time. And the writer develops this narrative by using specific details that may include like personal reactions to an experience or an event. The most important word in this description is details. Please circle the word details. Then I would also like for you to write underneath the narrative essay. One of the most important things to remember about a narrative essay is sequence or order. It is very important that a narrative essay go from beginning to end, A to Z, from front to start. Please, no flashbacks, no flash forwards, sideways, up or down. We need to go in sequence or chronological order and progress through the story. Writing, again, is only about 27% of the entire English test. We don't want you to write the great American novel in our English test. What we want you to do is to write a clear, concise, simple essay that answers the prompt that they have given you. So let's look at the next one, a descriptive essay. Please underline the words, a descriptive essay. A descriptive essay it's describing something, a person, a place, or a thing, or even an experience. And it gives vivid details. And it makes the person who's reading it imagine what the writer is describing. So the most important word here in this sentence is vivid details. Please circle the word vivid details. And underneath a descriptive essay, please write the words, paint a picture with words. You are actually using your words to paint a mental picture for your reader. So paint a picture with your words. The third thing on the essay is an expository essay. Please underline expository essay. An expository essay is an informative essay. It helps the reader to understand new information. It may be structured in different types of ways. And I want you to highlight or underline or circle the word informative. An expository essay is informing someone. It is not giving your opinion. And so that is why I want you to write underneath expository essay, do not give your opinion. You need to make sure you're giving step-by-step directions. For instance, if they tell you how to explain to somebody how to brush your teeth, in that expository essay, you would not say, this brand of toothpaste is my favorite and you should use it. You do not need an opinion in an expository essay. Let's look at the fourth one, a persuasive essay. Please underline the words persuasive essay. A persuasive essay is used to persuade or to convince your reader to think or act in a certain way or to accept a particular viewpoint. And the writer is going to support their viewpoint with evidence. So there's two important words in this particular passage. Number one is convince. Please circle or highlight the words convince. And then the other one is support. Please highlight or circle the word support. We want to make sure we are convincing, and we want to make sure we're supporting our viewpoint with evidence. And then another important thing about a persuasive essay is please write below it a call to action. We want to add on our final concluding paragraph a call to action. If we give our opinion on something, just say our favorite brand of toothpaste, and we give our 3 points of evidence, we want to call our reader to action. You need to use this brand of toothpaste because, and then give our 3 points of evidence. So we need a call to action in a persuasive essay. Our final essay is a reflective essay. Please underline the words reflective essay. A reflective essay presents the writer's personal reflections on something or reactions to a quotation or an idea. Now, this is a general description here, and it says the writer may choose to write about literature, life experience, or somebody who's had an impact on life. But keep in mind that the Department of Education, when they give us a prompt that is reflective, they're going to give us parameters we need to follow. It's not going to be a free-for-all, write anything you want to write. If you follow my cubbing method and my pre-writing strategy method that we'll be going over in a minute, then you will see that it's very specific and we need to stay within the writing prompt that they have given to us. Okay, here at EPIC, we believe that writing is very important. Writing is around 27% of the overall scoring of the test. And the largest portion of that writing is based on grammar, usage, and mechanics. This is talking about, sentence structure, spelling, capitalization, punctuation. They should have been learning those correct methods for the last 10 to 11 years of their school career. If anyone feels weak in this writing, you can go to the online writing bootcamp videos that we have posted, and you can watch those videos. They will help to orient you to reading a rubric or pre-writing strategies and more. They were built for 5th to 8th grade, but they can be utilized for any grade. So now we're going to talk about the writing portion. I'm going to ask you to follow some particular steps. First, you're going to read the prompt carefully. You're going to cub your prompt, do the pre-writing strategy, and then construct your final draft. And grade yourself carefully according to the rubric and the guidelines that they give you. What I'm going to do now is I'd like for you to, if you're in your booklet, to please stay on page 11. We're going to talk about cubbing your prompt. This is not the cub I'm talking about. I'm talking about cubbing your prompt. On your paper right now, on page 11, or on your notebook that you're taking notes on, please write the word cub at the top, and then write circle, underline, and bracket and what they stand for. If you could pause the video and write this now, then we're going to go on and leave enough space at the bottom for the 6 steps of cubbing your prompt. So go ahead and pause your video and write this down now. Okay, now that you've written that down, if you'll go ahead and pause your video again and write down the 6 steps at the bottom of your paper, and then I'm going to read these to you and explain them a little bit to you, and we're going to walk through them. So pause your video and write down the 6 steps now, please. After you have cubbed your prompt, I'm going to ask you to use a web cluster method for pre-writing for your graphic organizer. I know that many of you have worked with other types of graphic organizers, but I want you to practice with the web cluster because it's very versatile and you can use it for any of the 5 writing modes. And so this is going to be the pre-writing strategy that we are focusing on today for the boot camp, and this is the one that I would like for you to utilize for the sample prompts that we're going to be doing today. So now let's look at a sample deconstructed prompt. I did this one for 8th grade, but we're going to break it down just so you can see how it moves. I have the prompt here, and the prompt says, today our workplaces and neighborhoods are comprised of people of diverse backgrounds. For this reason, it is important for people to find ways to get along with each other. Write an essay illustrating how people of diverse backgrounds can get along better. So I read my prompt, step 1. Step 2 is to reread my prompt. It is very important to reread your prompt. You need to read it slower and with more emphasis. So I would stop and reread this slowly for myself. Step number 3 is to circle the bossy words. The bossy word in this sentence is right, so I would circle it. Then step 4 is write the word what or a question mark above the circled word, and I've done that. What do they want me to write? And then my 5th step is to underline the answer to this question. What do they want me to write? So I underlined an essay illustrating how people of diverse backgrounds can get along better. Now I'm going to take one more step and break it down to the end. Number 6, bracket any words you think are important. I personally bracketed illustrating and people of diverse backgrounds. And then I also bracketed get along. I felt like these words were important in my prompt and would help me to write a more effective essay. So let's see how cubbing the prompt helps me in building my graphic organizer. When you cub your prompt, make a graphic organizer and build your skeleton. Your skeleton is 1, your major summarization of what they want from you. This summarization is the topic of your paper. So I asked myself, what are they wanting from me here? And I reworded it in my own words. They want to know how people of diverse backgrounds can get along better. Now again, I mentioned this to you before. You're not writing the next great American novel. You're writing a simple essay. And I know that for our high school students, we don't normally ask them to write a 5-paragraph essay, but in this instance, we're going to say, go ahead and write a 5-paragraph essay. Be simple, be concise, and get your essay written for your test, because remember, it's 27% of your grade, which is a small portion, and we want you to be as clear and concise as you can be and not to worry or stress over the writing portion. Do your best though. So for the 5-paragraph essay, I have 3 points that I want to cover. And so this is going to give me my introduction with the summarization of my 3 points. And my 3 points are illustrating, so I have evidence. Remember, I said evidence. So I have evidence for each one of my 3 points. So I have paragraph 1 of my introduction that introduces my 3 points that I'm going to cover. And then I have paragraph 2, paragraph 3, and paragraph 4. And all I have left is my conclusion, which be a restatement of my topic, a summarization of my 3 paragraphs, and a concluding statement or a call to action depending on my type of essay I'm writing. It's very simple. The majority of my paper has been written at this point, and I am confident that I am going to hit most of the grades of 4 on the rubric because I am following the steps that will get me a high score for my testing, because I have answered my prompts and I have covered exactly what they're wanting from me. So let's look at what a writing task question might look like on the test, and we're going to cub that prompt and do a pre-writing strategy on it. Please turn to page 17 on your PSTG, the one that you've downloaded or the one you have in your hand.